Welcome back to your latest industry recap. Vietnam Airlines keen to order more aircraft. China Airlines very much in the same boat, and 737s that are up for scrapping. Want to begin with a new order. China Airlines beefing up its commitment to the next generation of Airbus planes with a further purchase. The Taiwanese-based company is set to spend more than $2 billion USD in a move that will increase its reliance on Airbus as a manufacturer. At this stage, the new aircraft do not have a firm time frame for when they will be delivered, nor has the company divulged details on configuration or deployment plans. But we do know as part of the latest agreement that they plan to enhance their long-haul division by adding 5 more of the A350-900s to their business. Next, they will also expand their medium to short-haul network with 8 more A321neo jets, 5 of which will be sourced from leading aircraft lessor, the Air Lease Corporation. The deal with Air Lease Corporation is valued at USD $240 million and will carry a term of approximately 10 to 13 years, with the possibility of extensions being agreed upon in the future. In a statement that is published by the airline, the fate of the A350s remain unclear, with options to purchase these outright or also, like the A321neo, reach agreements with lessors. What is for sure is that the A350 are going to be crucial to the airline's long-haul development, as China Airlines believes greater focus needs to be on developing this avenue, as emerging competition only poses a greater threat as the years go on. China Airlines is also set to expand its fleet of Airbus next-generation planes with deals for the A350 and A321neo, just days after it also confirmed delays in acquiring the 787 from Boeing. The Taiwanese carrier has already been forced to postpone the retirement of aging fleet types, such as the A330, due to Boeing's inability to deliver this plane on time to them. The delays impacting their ability to grow and the possibility now of seeking compensation for the damages are very likely, according to comments from an airline executive towards Reuters. Delays stemming to the 787 also really mean that aircraft that should have already been phased out remain. Therefore, you do see some negative ramifications on the business, including financial ones. Over to the next story, and Aviation will complete a formal scrapping/teardown of former Alaska Airlines Boeing 737s as part of a new agreement that was reached. The president of Aviation said this is a major milestone for the company, as it represents the most significant purchase at one singular point in their history. The Boeing 737NGs, which have been selected, have all already been retired from service and were awaiting a fate that has now been confirmed for them. The aircraft in question are of MSNs 30013, 30014, 30015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 30856, 30857, 33679, and 33680. Each aircraft selected was actually solely operated by Alaska Airlines throughout its entire life cycle, and as a result, according to Aviation, there are quite a lot of benefits for them because of this. One of the best aspects for the company, given that they are the sole operator of the aircraft, is the presence of a well-documented service record directly coming from one of the world's leading airlines. For Aviation, this means there is an enhanced traceability and component reliability too, which may have very well been impaired if the aircraft had operated with other carriers either before or after Alaska Airlines. It is pretty common for planes, once they are retired, if they do have some sort of shelf life still available, they may head to countries far away from their initial customer. They may jump between 3, 4, 5 airlines in very quick succession before they are eventually scrapped. And for a company like Aviation that is completing the teardown process, it becomes a little bit harder to then trace all the components and everything that was undertaken on the aircraft in its history for complete accuracy. But it trusts Alaska Airlines and their record. Moreover, the acquisition of these planes comes at a time when the construction of a new facility for Aviation in Peachtree City nears completion. The state-of-the-art facility will provide 5 times the current warehouse space and will support the expansion of investment for the 737NG moving forward should they look to acquire more in the future, which certainly seems like they have an appetite for. Alaska Airlines is gradually replacing its reliance on the 737 next generation as it transitions towards the MAX, which is the natural successor, and based on current available fleet data, they do also have the Dash 800s and a handful of Dash 9 900s remain. By comparison, Alaska Airlines already has 80 737 MAX jets in its fleet, in fact over 80, with many more expected to be delivered in the future. The MAX, a natural replacement, while it has had its hiccups, on paper it is certainly the right aircraft for them to develop their operation, especially after the agreement was reached with Virgin America and they took on some Airbus planes. They were very quick to get rid of these in favour of sticking with the 737. Over to the final story, Vietnam Airlines will continue to invest in its future with the planned acquisition of more next-generation aircraft. As part of latest comments, the airline is expected to not only move ahead with 737 MAX jets to enhance its single-aisle fleet, but it wants to explore other opportunities. The MAX jets expected to arrive over the next 5 years and beyond will represent only one of the many investments to take shape as they look to build for the future. Focus also rests now on the development of the international network, with current fleet data showing to us that it is solely down to the responsibility of planes such as the A350 and the 787 to fly these routes. And while that is not inherently bad, you need to have enough aircraft available to be able to serve the network adequately. And as demand only continues to increase, the need to actually meet this with large levels of capacity becomes higher. So as Vietnam Airlines does not find itself in a position where it is falling behind, and the flag carrier firmly believes that developing the wide-body fleet will be pivotal. As a result, discussions are already underway internally to determine the best course of action, with possible options including not only purchasing jets directly from manufacturers, but also exploring the leasing market. That'll come down to availability, prices, and what they need. The drive for growth also focuses on the need to renew its fleet, as some jets that are on existing leases are going to expire, but also it comes from a necessity of growth. While much focus is going to rest therefore on that next generation order, Vietnam Airlines continues to move ahead with replacement efforts. See, the flag carrier already said in 2024 it sold 5 of its A321ceo jets, and once 2025 concludes, in terms of aircraft that are being shipped off, that number will double. The forecasting of 12 axings from its fleet this year, with an even split between the CO of the A321 and ATR 72s, some of those having already departed, is part of a planned continued phase-out. The company still has a big reliance on the A321 family, with 62 planes present at the time of recording, and 42 of those are actually for the A321ceo. These average 13.2 years in age, so absolutely is this not old in comparison to what some other operators have, but with the continued introduction of more A321neos, there will be a greater reliance placed on these and the MAX jet moving forward. Unfortunately, the A321neo has remained front and center for Vietnam Airlines for not always the right reasons, and I'm looking towards groundings which continue now. And we are at a point where more A321neos are on the ground than active, as these jets are impacted by the Pratt & Whitney engine crisis. Thank you very much for tuning into this aviation news recap. If you have any thoughts, you know you're more than welcome to drop them down below in the comments. Please take care, do be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow for your next industry recap.
And we'll fly.